Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Breeze, Breezeway Productions' The Breeze, where we continue our coverage of this year's 2021 Bentonville Film Festival. And we are here with filmmakers Prashanth and Artemis with their films Have a Nice Life. How are you guys?
Thank you. We're doing great. Yeah, we're excited to be coming back down to Bentonville.
Right on. Tell me a little bit about Have a Nice Life.
So Have a Nice Life is a comedy and a road movie. It's about two women on the run from the law. We meet them in Durham, North Carolina, on two different sides of town, and they're two very different women. One of them is an Indian housewife in an arranged marriage, and she's actually played by a first-time actor, my mom. And the other character is an unemployed stoner musician, and they kind of cross paths at a local pawn shop. Things quickly get out of hand. They find themselves fleeing to Canada. And, shoddy car, lack of money, paranoia, all of these things kind of loom as obstacles in their way as they spend a few short, wild days on the road together.
Right on. Sounds fun. Where did this concept come from? Was between the brainstorming between you two, or how did you two work together with it?
Yeah, so Artemis is both my producing partner and life partner. And so we frequently work together on projects. This was a script that I wrote in 2018, beginning in, and it was kind of nearing the end of both of our MFAs at NYU Tisch Graduate Film. And this was really a project that I felt like I wanted to get off as a graduate thesis. Just because I felt like we had all these resources and we had kind of our community behind us. We went back home in North Carolina where I grew up to shoot it. And the fact that it was kind of this graduate production, I think everybody was, my old alma mater at Duke University was heavily involved. And so it really felt like a great kind of collective moment to pull something like this together. And so we just went for it. And, I'm glad we really did, because we got it all in the can pretty much right before COVID kicked in. We were kind of in that last wave of productions. And so we had plenty of time post-pandemic to edit and craft the project.
Nice, very good. How have you grown since you first started doing filmmaking, since this is your thesis project? You really feel like you learned a lot over the course of time?
Oh yeah, this is my first feature, and that alone, obviously it's a kind of a crazy experience. You learn a ton, I would never make a film the same way again. I'll never probably have the opportunity to quite make a film like this. But I think even the road leading up to it, I'd made several shorts in grad school. I'd made a few shorts before then. And I think that you can probably see a real progression. I probably have the least amount of perspective on this, but most of my stuff is online. I've made a bunch of shorts, and I think that I continue to kind of surprise myself and take great kind of intellectual pleasure from developing new directions and kind of building on past work.
Right on. Okay. I see where you're coming from with that. And congratulations on your first feature. Obviously, I'm sure that it was a lot of hard work put into it. And how about you, Artemis? What was your role in putting this together?
So I produced the film. So I was responsible for putting together the financing, planning everything, budgeting, obviously creative development, things like script notes. I also was on set all the time, heavily involved. So I was I AD'd. So I was really with the project from beginning to end. And for me, it was exciting as a producer, because up until then I'd associate produced features and I'd produced shorts, but I'd never gotten to be so intimately involved with the process over such a long period of time. And it's remarkable to see how much a project can take shape and change over the course of just like a year. I think shorts, especially as a producer, often feel kind of one and done. And it was exciting to live with something for a really long period of time and be so intimately involved at so many steps. I'm just getting to really learn about things like distribution for the first time, which is cool for me and sort of expanding my toolkit. So it's pretty awesome.
Right on. Welcome to the later stages of the film
Thank
film
you.
work. So now you're going into the distribution and finding outlets where they can screen your work. Bentonville being one, so congratulations with that. And when you were building the financing for it, what was your method? Did you go on Seed and Spark or other fundraising platforms? Did you have other private donors? Like, how did you raise your financing for the project?
Yeah, so this was, like we said, this was a graduate school thesis, and we were really interested in making something very small, just because, the smaller a project is, the more you're allowed to experiment.
Sure.
And we knew that we had, crew willing to work for per diems, like they're all kind of family and friends, and that we had sort of equipment through our kind of institutional backers.
Sure.
We went through IFP and did fiscal sponsorship, which
Oh.
means that if people donate, they get a tax deduction. And we figured that, people might be willing to donate small amounts of money the way they might not be willing to like invest small amounts of money.
Sure.
So we had a fiscal sponsorship. And what was really great about that is that it also opened us up to grant money.
Nice.
We got
Very
some institutional funding from NYU. And then the most important was our executive producer, Cinema Conservancy, which is a really great little nonprofit that both does some film grants and, creative support, all sorts of kind of executive producer support, but they also do things like film restoration. So they're a really cool organization, and they were
in New York, and
yeah.
we had the pleasure to kind of meet with them, and they really helped us. They're continuing to help us kind of even into distribution. So that was big. So a crowdfunding and two different little institutions.
Yeah, but for tiny little films, fiscal sponsorship really opens up a lot, I think.
Sure does. I totally understand it. The school is backing you, and you found a lot of great people to get behind you to make the project. So obviously it was a success, because here you are today, obviously going on tour with it. So that means that, it's passed by judges and people that have accepted it. So there it is. If you were to pitch this film to audiences and give it a tagline or give it something like a sizzle where people would say, how maybe I want to see this film, how would you say that?
Well, I think it's just a lot of fun. It's fun for the whole family. There's a Bollywood dance sequence with about 20 backup dancers, kind of wall-to-wall soundtrack of pop psychedelic hits. I mean, this is really like a film that I wanted to make that, isn't like a kind of like an art film that you sit down and you seriously kind of have to pay a lot of attention to, but like a kind of a film that you could play on a projector screen at a party. And so, I think it's, but there's also kind of emotional backbone and a kind of an autobiographical element to all of it as well. So hopefully there's something that resonates for a lot of different people.
Yeah, I also think like one thing that's special about it, for me, sort of the highlight is that it's like a stoner comedy starring the filmmaker's mother, which I just think is like such like an absurd autobiographical combo. Yeah. It's like a stoner comedy starring mom, I think is a pretty fun descriptor, like a real family affair, but that's still like pretty absurd.
I think every mom out there, this is a must watch. If you're a mom, you must see this.
It's a mom movie, so anybody that's a mom out there,
competition, just to see what other moms are doing.
Calling all moms, you need to have a nice life, and by see that, I mean you got to go and watch the movie. Yeah. Right on. Right on. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me talking about your film. Again, congratulations on your acceptance to Bentonville this year. Prashanth and Artemis, thank you so much for joining me. And everyone else, stay tuned for more coverage on this year's 2021 edition of the Bentonville Film Festival.
Thank you.
Bye.